Tonight on Golf Central, after a WD in the WGC, the reigning Open champ returns. Is Henrik Stenson feeling strong enough to win for the first time since breaking major records at Royal Troon?
Also ahead, what Jon Rahm is doing to accomplish something that hasn't been done since 15 years before he was born.
Plus, from Dustin Johnson to the Masters. And yes, even shorts, John and Jeff debate it all in alternate shot. That's right now on Golf Central.
Golf Central. Brought to you by Titleist.
Hey folks, George Savarica is teaming up with Lisa Cornwell. We start with the highest ranked player in the field this week, Henrik Stenson, coming off a WD at the WGC Mexico Championship just a week ago. We're going to have more on Stenson in a bit.
And he's been red hot early on. Justin Thomas, 3 wins already this season. He leads the FedEx Cup standings by 1 point over Hideki Matsuyama.
And the Snake Pit is about as treacherous as they come. None of the final 3 holes has ever played under par in the history of this event. Welcome into Golf Central. So normally if you bet against the highest ranked player in the field, you might have a bit of a weak stomach, unless that highest ranked player in the field is Henrik Stenson, who's getting over a stomach bug, Lisa.
You bet against the highest ranked player in the field?
Yeah, maybe this week. We'll see how queasy he is.
At least take him on a separate bet, right? Last Thursday, Stenson only made it through 11 holes in the WGC Mexico Championship before a stomach virus forced him to withdraw. At that point, he was 3 over par. This week, he's set to tee it up in the Valspar Championship. Chantel McCabe talked with Henrik Stenson today to find out how he's feeling.
Well, Lisa, Henrik Stenson said he's not quite 100% yet after coming down with a nasty stomach bug on Thursday, forcing him to withdraw from the WGC Mexico Championship. He flew back to his home in Orlando on Friday and spent the whole weekend recovering. By the way, so did his coach and his caddy, who were also under the weather. Stenson said he did get in a couple of short practice sessions before heading to Valspar. He says he's ready to play and feeling much better than he did 5 days ago.
I'm not 100%, I wouldn't say. I mean, if you have a stomach kind of upset or bug, it takes a little while for it to completely. I'm eating some probiotics and, you know, we can still feel a little rumbling here and there. So I don't think we need to go into more details than that. Unfortunately, there was a lot of players, caddies and other people around that got, I think, upset stomachs last week. And that's just the way it goes sometimes. And it shouldn't be, hopefully going forward, I shouldn't really have any issues with that, I hope.
Stenson said it was important for him to play at this week's Valspar Championship from a scheduling standpoint, with the Masters only 30 days away. He said he's fine-tuning some things, and he wanted to put an emphasis on this course because he said it suits his game, finishing 4th in 2015 and tied for 11th in 2016.
It's because of the second shots in both on the par 3s, I think, and the par 4s. A lot of times it's those kind of mid irons, and you know, it's the 5 iron, 6 iron, 7, 8 irons into the greens. And when I'm hitting it well, then that's a strong part of my game. So it's going to set up a lot of birdie chances. And then of course, if you're looking at the courses and the schedule, you're not going to pick courses that not suit your game either. So even though that sometimes happens, so this is one that definitely suits me, and here we are again.
Stenson pointed to the significance of scheduling, saying he wants to play in 24 tournaments throughout the year, but he has to time it out with the majors in order to perform at his best. He's committed to play in the Arnold Palmer Invitational before going to the Shell Houston Open before the Masters, but he will not be playing the WGC Dell Technologies match play, saying that he's not a fan of the new format. Lisa?
Chantel McCabe, thank you very much. Henrik Stenson, Patrick Reed, and Justin Thomas take on a tough field and an even tougher course, which includes the dreaded Snake Pit. Coverage of the Valspar Championship begins Thursday at 1 p.m. on Golf Channel and continues Saturday at 3 Eastern on NBC.
Just saw Justin Thomas there. There's a good chance later this year he'll be a part of this at Liberty National with the backdrop of NYC. It'll absolutely be rocking for the 2017 President's Cup. Today, an announcement from the Valspar Championship to give an update on team preps, plus each side for the first time in this competition naming a 4th captain's assistant.
You played on a tremendous amount of teams, and couldn't be happier to announce Jim Furyk as our 4th assistant captain.
So to be here amongst everyone is an honor. You know, I've been fortunate enough to be on quite a few of the Ryder Cup and President's Cup teams, and but you never really want to miss out on that opportunity.
To make sure that we got guys who were in the future going to be captains, and there's no better example than the guy Mike Weir, who I've asked to be our 4th captain's assistant. Who Mike has a great passion for the President's Cup as well.
For this great honor, you know, I was very excited to get the call from Nick to be part of this. I've been part of 5 teams as a player, and you know, it's been a few years since I've been part of the team, but I've always looked forward to maybe being on the side of it.
Let's check out the President's Cup captain's assistants for 2017 head-to-head, and you see past President's Cup captain Fred Couples in the mix with current Ryder Cup captain Jim Furyk and the winning captain Ed Hazeltine, Davis Love III, plus Tiger Woods. For the international squad, Ernie Els, Jeff Ogilvy, Tony Johnstone, and Mike Weir. Chantel McCabe caught up with U.S. President's Cup captain Steve Stricker.
Steve, adding Jim Furyk as your 4th assistant captain, why was it important to have him involved with this group in 2017?
Well, he's been a mainstay of so many teams throughout his career, and you know, I just thought typically the President's Cup has only had 3 assistant captains, so it was a push from Nick Price and myself to add one more, and I had a tough discussion with Jim early on when I didn't pick him as an assistant, and I said, listen, I'm trying to get one more, and if we can get the 4th, would you like to do it? And but it's just to have him around, to have his knowledge, and hopefully he's going to make it as a player. He still plays very well, and that's kind of what I see from Jim, is he may still make it as a player, but if not, we know he's going to be there as an assistant captain.
We saw how important the camaraderie was with team events for the Ryder Cup. What will we see with your group this year?
Hopefully the same. We're just going to try to take what we did last year at the Ryder Cup and have that same environment. It was a relaxed environment. The guys played great. Part of the reason why I wanted another assistant captain. We had 4 assistant captains. I've got a couple guys that have been captains, and Freddie Couples and Davis Love, and Tiger was a huge asset on the Ryder Cup side of things last year for us, and he's going to be another assistant, and so we're trying to bring that same environment, that same mold to the President's Cup this year, and I've got a lot of guys that I can lean on for help, and that's what it takes. It takes a big team effort to win.
How about the course Liberty National? What should we know about it? Have you been able to check it out, get a feel for it?
I was there in the fall. I've played a couple events there, tournaments there, and you know, it's going to be a good match play golf course, and it's in a great environment. The New York people have always come out in full force, and I expect no different this time around, to hear a lot of positive cheers on our side of things. And so the environment, the surroundings, the setting, you know, with Liberty National, or as Liberty National, and then the Statue of Liberty that we see, I think, about 14 holes of the golf course. So it's going to be a great atmosphere, I think.
Quick look at the standings on both sides as they are today, focusing really on the top 3 because they're kind of in a group by themselves. Of course, Dustin Johnson way out in front with just over 7,000 points. On the other side, the international squad. And again, you can take a look at this top 3 as well, because perhaps 2 of the biggest names in golf at 1 and 3, and Jason Day and Adam Scott. And is there a hotter player in the game right now besides Dustin Johnson than Hideki Matsuyama? So a strong force there. Let's hear from international captain Nick Price about his outlook for the next showdown.
I think we're going to have our work cut out for us, because the U.S. team is coming off a high at the Ryder Cup, where I think they played phenomenally well. So it'll be interesting. We were all spying during the Ryder Cup, trying to figure out who the pairings were going to be. I think their team's not going to change too dramatically from September of last year, but you know, Liberty National is a great venue, and we're going to have a motivated team there for sure.
Folks, we are now going 4 wide. Trip Eisenhower, Matt Adams, Tim Rosefort. Let's get right to it, guys. Sports are defined by rivalries. You see it in the NFL, NBA, MLB. This hasn't developed into a rivalry yet, Trip. We're 2 decades into the President's Cup competition. What needs to change to really galvanize this event?
I would add one more to that list, the Ryder Cup. A great rivalry there. And if you need to look no further than the Ryder Cup pre-1979, before the Europeans were added, when it was just Great Britain and Ireland, it was pretty much dominated by the U.S. over the years. And that's what we've seen here with the President's Cup. So, guys, what I hope happens is we start to see some equanimity in the results, if we will, because the international team, they put up a good fight last time in Korea. It was admirable. It came down to it. It was exciting to watch. That's what we need, but maybe we need to get the international side over the victory line more than just once. They've had 1 win and 1 tie since the start of the President's Cup.
It's interesting that you brought up the history of the Ryder Cup and used it as a comparison, because I think about Tony Jacklin when he came in and then it became the combined team that he captained. He didn't win right away. Remember, he lost. I think you were at that Ryder Cup as a kid watching it, in fact. So what we have now in Nick Price, I got a chance to speak with him after the press conference today, and Nick told me that it isn't until the Monday of the President's Cup that his team is actually physically all together, and so that what he has to do as captain along the way is continue to motivate his team. So he sends them little messages, he stays in communication with them, and I think Nick Price is a huge part of congealing this team, bringing this together, and it could result in a breakthrough on the international side. I do think they do, as he said, it have their work cut out for them at Liberty National outside of the shadows of the skyscrapers.
Tripp, you're talking about equanimity. Along with that goes continuity, and it looks like Nick is assembling his own sort of form of a task force, because you look at it with Ernie there as an assistant captain, Jeff Ogilvy, and then now Mike Weir. He's building some of that for the future, getting everybody on the same page from a leadership standpoint. But you just look at the roster, at what we showed on a graphic a couple minutes ago, and you can see the biggest thing Nick did was reduce the points from 34 to 30, because you could see the severe drop-off sort of toward the end of the European team, whereas the United States side still looks strong from 9 down through the finish of the team roster. So I think it's going to be tight again. It couldn't have been much better than it was in Korea the last time, especially from a story standpoint with Jay's son Bill winning the winning point. And sad, of course, for Bae, had to go into the Korean Army right after that.
And you got to think, just from a big picture standpoint, Nick Price's job as captain for the international team has to be the most difficult of any team competition, melding so many different players from different continents. That's amazing that it's the Monday of the competition. They're finally all together. As far as Liberty National, that backdrop, stunning for a President's Cup or a team competition. How different is the course going to look, Matt?
Well, there's a couple changes that they made. I had a chance to speak with Tom Kite today, he who co-designed the golf course with Bob Cupp, and he told me that they're going to be starting at the 5th hole, Trip, because they want to make sure that the golf course is best set up for match play, and they think that many of the matches are going to finish what is normally the 18th hole. A very tough par 4 to finish on.
And 5's a tough starting hole. It's got water down the left, so this is a good change, actually. And no knock against number 18, the par 3 that is number 4. It's a fantastic par 3. Great finish there.
2 of the 4 finishing holes will actually be par 3s if you get to 18, and the last will be 193, which is that uphill par 3. They flattened a couple of areas, so they have more hole locations, and they made some better viewing areas for the galleries as well. So they're ready for this President's Cup to come to Liberty National.
Guessing the captains won't be boating in 2017 for the President's Cup. Let's take a look at the breakdown from what we've seen in this competition. U.S. with that 9-1-1 advantage, the all-time points lead, that only international win, which Tripp alluded to, was a blowout by the international team in 1998 in Australia. Lisa?
Coming up, there are 24 new rules proposals, but which one is the best fit for your game? We debate in an all-new alternate shot. But first, John Rahm's quest to accomplish something we haven't seen since Tiger Woods. You're watching Golf Central.
Golf Central is brought to you by the Volke Design SM6 wedges, progressive design, precision performance. Grip confidence, grip golf pride.